Hey, what's up guys, it's B here, and what you are about to listen to right now is 100% made with 3x OSC. So when I said 100% with 3x OSC, I mean the leads, the chords, and the bass. Actually, I don't mean the samples here. So 3x oscillator, 3 times oscillator, 3x OSC, whatever you say, it is actually a really nice plugin. You might think it's a weak plugin, but you are wrong. So for instance, take this car as an example. It's not as good as a BMW or a Mercedes, but in fact, it has a lot of advantages. For example, it doesn't consume that much fuel, and because of its small size, you can park it literally everywhere. Same goes for 3x OSC. Basically, it doesn't take that much CPU compared to Serum or any other plugin, and you can load it as much as you want in your project without worrying about it killing your CPU. So let's start by adding 3x OSC. And as in this video, I will not focus on creating melodies and chord progressions, so I will magically create a melody. Here's the melody that I created. And now let's start working on our lead and everything. Now let's start by creating our lead and create a layer of lead basically. So I'm going here to make all the oscillators, change them to saw wave, and I'm going to detune them a bit, just like that. So I want to create a super saw basically. And to detune them even more, we can adjust the fine here, just and to make them wide in stereo, let's span them left and right. Let's now adjust the volume envelope. Now let's create another lead. Basically, I'll just set the detune and the pan to the center, so I want it to be more centered. Let's create another copy. And now let's create a noise layer, basically to fill up the whole spectrum. I'm going to disable the second and the third oscillator, and I will keep the first one, and I will select the noise generator like that. And I'm going to add the last layer, which is a whistle sound. So I'm going to keep the first oscillator at sine wave. I'm going to disable the third one. I'm going to select a noise sound. Then I'm going to add more attack in the volume envelope. I have spent a lot of time to process the leads, so I cut that part in the video, otherwise it'll be like 30 minutes longer. What I done basically, I just routed all the leads to a mixer channel, then I routed them to the same mixer channel here, a bus basically, and I added an EQ like that, resonant EQ to this lead, to make it sound more like an EDM style lead. I have removed some resonant frequencies from this lead as well. Here also, and I just lowered the gain of the noise. And basically, to make a whistle sound, you need like a full spectrum of sound, like white noise, and each note plays like a resonant peak sound, like just a plug-in whistler. I couldn't do that, but I just tried to mimic that a bit, so I just cut frequencies from here to here, just make a band frequency. So it sounds like a whistle, and I just added a lot of reverb with a long decay, around 4 seconds. And then I just wrote it all to this bus, and I have added all of these effects to make it sound really big. As you can hear, these effects make a lot of huge difference. And to create the chords, I have loaded another instance of 3x OSC, so let's select SAW waves. Let's go here to the volume envelope. I like to keep it this way, so the oscillators are spread in different octaves, so it make a really rich sound. So now let's duplicate the chord here. Let's call it chord 2, and I'm going to change the sound from basically a SAW to square, and I'm going to put it an octave higher. Now let's process the chords. I have routed them to a mixer channel. Now let's select them both. By the way, to do a multiple selection in the mixer, you click on Control, you hold it, and you just select your channels, and let's route it to a mixer channel, and let's call this one chords, and let's start adding effects. Let's add an EQ and a wave shaper. Let's add reverb. And let's sidechain it with kickstart. And now let's create a sub bass. So I took the lower notes of the chord. And to make a sub bass, we need like a square sound, you know, really fat, really punchy, like you hear in a Future Bounce or Future House. I will disable the second oscillators. Just keep one, and I'm going to push it down like that. And let's go to the envelopes. Let's remove the sustain and the hold here. And one trick to make your sub bass or bass really have that attack and transient, you go to pitch here. And I'm going to put everything to 0, just keep the decay like that. You see, it's really punching really hard. Now let's process our sub bass to make it sound bigger and more fat. And so I will add our bass, which is a great plugin for the sub bass. So you can hear just by adding it, it makes your bass a lot more fat. And we can add a kickstart. And another thing that I like to do is I like to add a mid bass. So I'm going to make a copy of the sub bass, and that's called mid bass. And another thing that I want to do is I'm going to make a copy of the sub bass, and I want to create a mid bass. So let's call this mid bass, and let's route it to a mixer channel, and let's cut the low frequencies. And now I'm going to add a dimension expander to it. And basically you can just take the same sidechain preset from the sub bass and put it here. So I found some nice samples, and I make this drum arrangement. Basically it's a kick drum in the right, and some claps and the hi-hat loop, and this effects noise you get with the default FL Studio sample pack. Now let's put everything together. And now I have put everything together. Let's get a quick lesson. One more thing that I like to do is I will go to the leads bus here, and I will add a reverb. So let's put it before the sidechain, and we make it so we increase the decay, and let's create an automation clip to the mixing level here, so like that, and it stops just before the other note. So basically I came up with this automation clip after several tries. To do the mastering, first we have to make sure that we have enough headroom here. It's peaking at around -3 dB, which is good. Now let's start by EQing, cutting the low frequencies at around 20 Hz here. Then I will add a multi-band compressor. Now if we A/B track with and without the multi-band compressor, you can hear that it makes a lot of improvements and it sounds more warm. And finally I will add a limiter, so I really like to use the FAB filter limiter. Well, I hope you guys enjoy watching this video. Leave a thumbs up if you like it. If you have a suggestion or a question, just leave it in the comments down below. And if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing so I can grow my audience more and make more videos. And yeah, have a great day. Peace.